Hello, my name is Travis Statham, and this is my cat Butters, and I'd like to teach you about my carnivore history database called MEATrition.com. So, to get this started, I want to show you what it looks like. Bye, Butters. Let's make this a little smaller. So, the website is up here, MEATrition.com/all-history, and you can access this right here at the top if you click all history. And this database is something I've been working on for the last 2 years. When I first got involved in the carnivore diet, I read this book called Not by Bread Alone by Vilhjalmur Stefansson. He was a explorer from Harvard who went to the northern Arctic and lived among the Inuit. And when he lived with them, he ate the foods that they ate because he couldn't bring enough wheat, bread, potatoes, and modern foods that he was used to. He just had to eat the fish or the caribou or the seal that those people were eating every day. And through that experience, he wrote a book about it and focused much on the diet of these people and how his own health and well-being were affected through this diet. And when I read that book, it opened up this whole new world to me of stories about the carnivore diet from the deep past that have been forgotten today. So over time, I decided to create this database, and it now has over 931 entries. So I want to explain how it works and just give a quick tour so you understand how to look through this data and share it and read it and enjoy it and become a more well-rounded carnivore who knows his history, his science, his the overall arching arguments that we can use to demonstrate that this is healthy and helps us thrive. All right, so let's go through here quickly how this works. So at the top of this, there are filters that filter the database to show only entries that you want to see. So my first one here is carnivore diet. If I click it, it sorts my entries into all the posts that are tagged with carnivore diet. Now, each one of these posts were manually added by me, and I copied the text from a old book or a paper or a medical journal, something like that, and I found the exact source of it, and then I tagged a date, and I made custom links, and I added images, and all of this is easy to see, search for, and share. So this slider bar allows you to change your year that you're looking at. So the slider bar goes all the way back 500 years, and you can pick any point along. So let's say we go up to 1805, 1800s. Here, 1795, and the 5 years after that. So this is one of the first entries I added to this database, and it's by Dr. John Rollo, who met a captain at sea who was experiencing diabetes. And at the time, there was no cure for diabetes, and you can see some of the symptoms that this Captain Meredith had right here. And Dr. Rollo decided to put Captain Meredith on the following diet. First, the diet to consist of animal food principally, and to be thus regulated. Breakfast, 1.5 pint of milk and half a pint of lime water, mixed together, and bread and butter. Noon, plain blood puddings made of blood and suet only. Suet is a fat. Dinner, game or old meats, which have been long kept, and as far as the stomach may bear. Fat and rancid old meats, as pork, to eat in moderation. Supper, the same as breakfast. Now, this is pretty interesting because he's saying to eat fermented meats that have been long kept and they've aged. And this is similar to what was well liked by actually the Inuit. They loved fermented meats, and they would ferment all sorts of things such as fish, seals, birds, whale. However, this probably predated really the discovery of the Inuit. So I'm not really sure how he came to this view, but it's pretty interesting. So that Dr. Rollo published this case report in 1796, and thereafter a whole slew of reports came out by other doctors and by Dr. Rollo, where he kept using this dietary regimen to help people. Here again, diet to consist principally of animal food. Here's another case, the case of Walker, with Dr. Hope's permission, and you may do with it whatever you please. The effects of the animal diet on the quantity and quality of the urine are perfectly evident, though the case could not be carried to an absolute termination, from the impatience and instability of the patient. Pretty interesting that people have been struggling to do diets for their own health for a very long time. You can see the entire case report here, each day along it. And these doctors did an amazing job at documenting all this. And I really loved seeing all this. All right, so let's just show more about how this works. You can unclick the filter. It should reset. And you can click backwards and forwards to change the chronological ordering. So this database is for the last 2,000 years. So the first entry starts around 149 AD, back when Claudius Gallienus was living. And you can see it goes through China, Greece, Roman history. Celsus preferred beef, while Galen preferred pork in terms of providing the best nutrition. Here's a Taoist philosophers. They believed that if one is to attain long life, the three worms, which were these demonic, supernatural creatures they believed in, they had to be starved, and the only way to do so is to avoid all grain. So this database is not just about meat, but it's about giving up plants for health, for feeling better. You can see here that the source was a Reddit post that someone posted, and I looked at it just the other day and was like, wow, this is a great entry I could add. Abstaining from grain, bigu. So it's pretty neat. All right, let's, so you can also see recently added. So these are the latest entries I've added. I added this Recollections on Hunting in Kentucky just about 2 hours ago. And this was back in 1790 and 1791. Check out these quotes. They always relied upon the forest for a supply of food: buffalo, bear, deer, elk, and turkey. Now for the mode of living. The stew is a common and favorite mode. The choicest bits of buffalo, deer, elk, bear, and turkey, part or all of these, as the case might be, put into the kettle. Stewed bear's liver or roasted bear's kidney made a good substitute for bread. They would put roast turkey into bits of fat bear meat. Here's a recipe on how to cook a beaver tail, which are very fat and were well loved by many explorers and hunters and trappers. Here's a buffalo tongue, and here's a buffalo marrow bone. And in this entry, there's very little talk about plants. There's some sage, salt and pepper and sage. So it seems like plants were only used for spices in this case. It's a great day to hunt buffalo. I found a historian from Wyoming, and he was talking about this. He also had an entry about the diet of the mountain men, which is, let's see. Yeah, this came from that historian. And he wrote that meat and coffee was the diet of the mountain men. These were early trappers and hunters in the American West. And these people lived too far to carry modern civilized foods with them. So all they ate was what they could hunt or gather. And because gathering returns so few calories compared to shooting a large animal when they're in great supply, these mountain men would mostly be eating meat. All right. So you can also clear the year. So if you had set this, for instance, let's see. Sometimes this doesn't work. Okay. Well, usually that works. Aha. Okay, so I need to get off recently added. So yeah, you can see this is 1830 to 1835, and this is a post from 1834. This is a journal of a trapper who killed his first buffalo, other particularly fat buffalo, and even a grizzly bear, which they butchered because he was very fat. So you'll see a lot in these stories that fat is extremely important and what everyone was hunting for. To be able to shoot a deer or a lean animal, you would be provided with hundreds of pounds of lean protein, but you need energy because you don't have carbohydrates to eat. So they were always looking for fat. All right. And finally, you can search all of the entries to see them all in here. Fat was extremely important. Okay, so that's about it for the history database. There are, of course, 900 entries. It's somewhat difficult to parse through them. Oh, actually, let's actually open one up. So let's see what's a good, interesting one. Oh, here. You've probably heard of Carl Linnaeus. So when you click on a blue link from the main collection, it opens up a dedicated page here. And you can see a short description. You can see the date as close as I could find it. Sometimes you'll see like January 1st or January 2nd. That means like I didn't know the exact day during the year. But many of these do have pretty particular dates, such as this, February 24th. You can read all this, and you can see a link. Clicking this will open up the direct source that I found it at. You can see this is a text file online. And instead of making you guys read this stuff or searching through it or figuring out it exists in the first place, I did all the hard work for you. So I turned text that looked like this into text that looks like this, and I tagged it, and now you can search for it and share it. You can share this link directly. You can tweet it by clicking this button, and it will create a like an automated tweet with the description in it. And you can even post it to Reddit. I have a subreddit called MEATrition. And let's say you really like this and you're just curious, like, what happened next after 1731? Well, you can just click next event, and it loads the next nearest event after that. So this is 1741, and this is actually not north of Europe, but instead in the Bering Sea, where the Aleuts live on the Aleutian Islands. So this was one of the first peoples that the Russians met during their expansion into the Arctic waters and the Bering Sea. And you can read all sorts of interesting things about these people before they really were changed by like the Europeans and Russian Asians, I guess. You can also see topics right here. So let's click carnivore diet. You'll see in the link it shows topic carnivore diet. And here, under this topic, you can see all the history entries that have been added for the carnivore diet. So if you wanted to just share this topic to someone, you could send that link off. And you can cycle through other topics this way. Cholesterol, children, Christianization. Since these were Europeans mostly writing these books, they would be going out and teaching Christianity to the natives. And I thought this was a really interesting angle because it's part of why everything is the way it is today. So, all right. So that's history. You can see this list as well. Oh. All right, there it goes. This is a much shorter way to read these, and it only shows the description, so you can scroll through a bit faster. And again, you can click these blue links, and it will open up so that you can share them. Okay. Now, you'll see my name at the top here. So I'm a member, of course, on my own site. And if you join MEATrition.com, you can learn how to add these yourself. So there are probably thousands of documents that this database is missing. And one reason I'm building this channel is that I'd like to invite you to come help me read those thousands of sources and add them to this database. So there's some directions here. You can paste text in, you can add an image, you can select an author, you can put in the exact date, you can paste the link, you can put a title of the document and a short character description. And at the end, you would save new event, and then I would add a few extra things such as the topics that are relevant to the post and make sure it fits the database. Okay, so that's mostly it for the all history database. In future videos, I will be probably talking about individual entries one by one, or maybe by the author or by the book, and talk about each interesting one. Let's quickly go through the rest of my website because I have a few other databases I want to show you. Under all history, you can see ancient history. Now again, this is a history database, but it's beyond 2,000 years ago. So instead of using a date time, I'm having an integer for the number of years ago. Now, one issue is I haven't really spent much time adding to this database, but I would like to do a lot more on it. I'm very interested in paleoanthropology, and I think that provides a great explanation for us as well, beyond just ethnography and written texts and stuff. And if you ask me to add a way to add entries to this, I will figure that out and add that. So far, only the history database has the add function. All right, so there's a bunch of pages here on science. Now these are just static pages that I wrote a few years ago. So they're not really up to date, but they give you a nice review of the evidence. They're kind of in a wiki format, just like a long list of text, kind of like this, or like an abstract posted in or something. All right, but this is really what the rest of the website is on. So there's all these databases. The top one is reasons to be carnivore. So you might have heard the term facultative carnivore. This means you thrive basically on an all-meat diet, which is what this website's all about. And these are reasons that we might think that humans are facultative carnivores. Evolutionary reasons, scientific reasons, whether a carnivore diet can provide all essential nutrients, large brains evolved from animal fat and cholesterol in the diet. Human brains use much more energy because of rich energy diets high in animal fat. Smaller molars and less time spent feeding despite body size show that meat eating was causal in our evolution. So you can go through the rest of these on your own. You can click discuss, and you'll see a dedicated link, kind of like the history that I showed you earlier. All right, let me show you my ethnography list. So I like to call this page the red zones to make fun of the blue zones concept of generally plant-based eating leading to long, healthy lives. So part of the history database is reading about these ancient peoples. And in this database, I tried to summarize basically each tribe that I found, information on their diet, and then like rough estimates on hunting, fishing, gathering, fat percentage, protein percentage, carb percentage, and even like a date of first contact with Westerners. And you can open up any of these posts with the blue links on the left here. Let's try Copper Eskimo. So you can see they're from Canada. Something should load here. There can be images here. And then there's 4 text fields. Not all of them are filled out, but generally I tried to put importance of animal products here. And you can see all these animals. Here they hunted Arctic ground squirrel, Arctic hare, caribou, grizzly bear, mink, moose, muskox, muskrat, polar bear, wolf, and wolverine. They fished. They hunted seals and codfish. They gathered ducks and geese. They liked raw but not boiled eggs. And because I don't have a lot of data on the importance of plants, I just have none for now, but most of these could probably be said that, there's some local spices and berries and a little bit of food such as the food inside of a caribou stomach might be eaten. But whether these foods really were helping these people thrive or whether they were just kind of spices or famine foods, it's hard to determine. Okay, so actually this didn't load. Let's go back and I'll show you a different one. Oh, well, this is another view. The compact list view is what we were looking at before. You can see a quick rundown of some of the tribes here. Here's the Ainu from Japan. They were hunter-gatherers who practiced limited agriculture. That's perfect. Diets were rich in venison, bear, millet, beans, peas, salmon, trout, rabbit, shellfish, fowl, and forage plants. However, a lot of these were probably introduced to the area, so you have to kind of go back and deeper in time. A few generations ago, there was a great famine in Ezo, so thousands upon thousands of animals died. So the staple food was flesh. Many people died, and then they figured out how to use agriculture. Oh, here's the Aleut, which we talked about earlier. Algonquian, Athabascan. Let's open these up. Athabascan is in northwest Canada near Alaska. Oh, there it is. But really, it's like most of this area up to the Yukon, British Columbia, Northwest Territories. And here you can see images. I got these out of a PDF for traditional hunting. You can see these are obviously modern people, but the author's grandmother was out here butchering up a moose. Oh, here's a recipe. Add moose blood. Take moose fat and fry. Add fat and grease to the soup. Add few teaspoons of flour if you like to thicken. But once again, this is pretty much a meat diet. You can see add rice and onion for flavor, but these aren't really the point. Oh, there's a bloody carcass. The author's grandmother, Audrey Brown, butchers a moose. Moose blood and dry meat soups. Oh, yeah, here's an interesting thing. I probably grabbed this from Wikipedia. You can see the hunting months for each animal. So this is basically a look at the menu, the yearly menu. And through all this, there's only one for berry gathering. August and September. The entire rest of the year, they would either have to store those berries or they'd probably eat them in a few months and then be eating just meat for the rest of the year. Pretty great, right? All right, so again, you can read all about these. And these are all copied and pasted from other sources. So I didn't really do a lot of writing in any of these. These are from other sources that exist. All right, so I think that's enough for ethnography. You can see those two lists there. Let's open up notable carnivores. Now, this database could definitely use some updates. But basically, it's people, popular, interesting, or doctor people in the past that have done carnivore diets. Actually, in the past or currently, you might recognize Amber O'Hearn or Amy Berger, Dr. Andy Fung, Dr. Angela Stanton. So these are doctors that basically support the carnivore diet or do it themselves. Anthony Chafee is plant-free MD. Actually, he doesn't live in Bangladesh anymore. He lives in Australia. Anthony GJ and Ash and Barry Groves. This guy had an amazing YouTube talk called Homo Carnivorous. Dr. Ben Bickman. Okay, so you can read these and share them. Let's see, you can actually, it just opens that up. Yeah, and this is just an image, I think. Okay, but that's just a nice little list. If you want to be added to this, please get in touch with me. I will add your anecdote. All right. So my first database I ever made on this website was for books. Back in the day, I moderated a subreddit and I wrote a giant book list for the holidays to basically buy books about the ketogenic diet or the carnivore diet for your friends and family. And then I realized that I could turn it into a giant database as well instead of just a list of Amazon links. So most of these have like the copied text from Amazon at the top, and then if I read the book, I did a short review at the bottom. But for the most part, I'll recommend all these books. You'll notice some of the books are obviously from the other side, but I added them just kind of have some balance. Okay, and you can open these up. Now, you'll see here at the bottom, there's no history entries on this book. So I actually didn't read and add all the science in this book. It's a little too technical in some ways for this database. But let me show you a better example. Let's see. Might not have a good example here. Let's see, Sean Baker's The Carnivore Diet book. Diabetes Code, Peter Bruckner's book. Books on cancer. Dirt to Soil and Regenerative Agriculture. Alright, I don't see a good book to add here, or to show you the history entries, but some of the history entries will have books under them, and you can click on the book and open it, and yeah, it's pretty neat. Actually, let's try this. So we can again filter like before. Yeah, like here, Hunters of the Northern Ice. Oh, I don't have any history entries from that. Let's see. So a lot of books in here you'll recognize. But anyway, those history entries would spawn at the bottom of the book post if you looked at it. Oh, recently added. This might help. Aha, perfect. All right, so I just read this book. It's a physical copy, but I found it online, like most others. And ta-da! Here at the bottom we have a history entry. So it's the same format as the other one. And you can see there's 3 entries here from this book. And again, you can click comment on any of these and it will open up a full entry. Oh, sometimes there's a picture of the book itself or maybe like a relevant image from the text or to the text. And here you can see a link to the book, so you can go back to the book. Okay, let's do another database real quick. These are plant-eye nutrients, a funny term I invented for anti-nutrients. It's a little database in here, and again, you can open up and see more. This could definitely use some more work. I need to add some more science and do more research, but just trying to put together kind of a basic list, basic database. Anti-nutrients, I think this is the same database, but just in a full table. So you can kind of see them all in one place. And you can see all the foods that each thing is in, and then possible issues and some images and whatnot. Okay. The topics database I already showed you. See what they all look like. Yep. So I still need to do a ton of work on this. I need to add images and descriptions and whatnot. But I'm a very busy guy and I keep adding more history instead of working on these. Okay, and you can read more and you know what those views look like already. And then links, podcasts, and members. These aren't databases, but they are like just a list of links, I think. Yeah, some popular Twitter users and some Facebook groups you can join. Websites, some subreddits, YouTube channels, doctors, and other individuals. And I think we could do one more. Publish science. Oh, Butters came back. Hey, Butters. Good kitty. All right, so this is Publish Science. Another thing I've worked on is making a Zotero database. It has over 11,000 entries now, but the last time I updated this, it only had about 10,000. But this has the abstract and the title in here, and you can search through it. But all of these posts are in the Zotero database. And if you're curious what Zotero is, under Home, I have Zotero, and this is what it looks like. So it's a tool created for PhDs and like master's students who are writing papers and you can add images or add articles and PDFs to your library and then keep track of them as you write papers about them that use them. So I realized this would be a great way to keep track of all the science I come across. So this is actually an open public group that you can join yourself if you request access, but you can also search it and look for it for free if you just go to this website here. And in fact, I ran out of space on the Zotero library. It has 6 gigabytes of PDFs in it, and I just upgraded to unlimited earlier today. It's $120 a year, so I'm gonna bite the bullet on that because I believe Zotero is the way to go. All right, I think that's about all I have to share for now. Again, this is MEATrition.com. This is what the homepage looks like. And you can read about me. You can understand what to eat on the carnivore diet, what not to eat, and then why you should stop eating fiber, or oxalates, or seed oils. And yeah, I think that's a great first step to showing off my website. So thanks for joining the channel. Please subscribe. I need to get to 1,000 subscribers in order to start live streaming. I think it would be fun to live stream as I add new entries to the history database, and maybe get other people interested in contributing to that. And yeah, please share. Yeah, I built this kind of as a labor of love for the rest of the carnivore community. I really love reading all these sources and all these old books, and in some ways I feel like I'm the first person to read some of these and interpret it in a new way to say, oh wow, these hunters were probably healthy when they were eating all animal products before our agricultural society really forced them to change their habits. All right, great, thank you.